When's the last time that you've gone to a restaurant and just been completely disgusted by what you saw, what you smelled, or just the general atmosphere of the restaurant? Wichita needs stricter hygiene safety laws. So I've personally been victimized numerous times by food poisoning, and I've just gone into some restaurants and been disgusted by how dirty they were. So restaurants are hurting people, and something needs to be done about it. So I'm going to show you how important of an issue food poisoning is. I'm going to show you my proposed bill of increasing the hygiene safety in the United States. And I'll show you examples of countries that have poor hygiene safety that the United States could turn into. Restaurants are hurting their customers by having poor hygiene safety. According to the Center for Disease Control, on their estimated foodborne illnesses per year, 48 million people get food poisoning every year. Of those 48 million people, 125,000 end up going to the hospital. And of those people that go to the hospital, 3,000 of them end up dying. And that's something crazy to think about. You could go to your favorite restaurant, get food poisoning, and die. It could kill you. It's a very real issue. So what action is being done to prevent these restaurants from getting to the point to giving people food poisoning? Very little. It could take as many as 160 cases for anything to be done about it. This is exactly what happened to a Chipotle in Ohio, according to Haley Peterson's article in Business Insider. They had 160 cases of food poisoning before any action was taken. Nobody stepped up, nothing was done. They finally shut down after 160 cases, which I think is entirely too many. So I've shown you the issue, how real the issue is, and how important the issue is. So what's going to be done about it? Well, I have a solution to that. My bill would increase the hygiene standards laws in the United States. The first thing it would do is define the hygiene standards. What exactly does a restaurant need to do to meet standards? So obviously we have what's in place now, proper food storage, no contamination. But I'm going to take it one step further. And I'm going to say all the vendors you need to get their food from reputable vendors that have no history of delivering contaminated product. We've all got to be accountable for this. And I'm going to take it even another step further and then be specific with buffets and say the old food we need to get rid of the food in a more timely manner. The food can't sit out for as long as it does, and it needs to get rid of. We need to get rid of the food. So we've talked about those. Now let's say what obligations does the restaurant need to have? So first off, the restaurant needs to perform weekly checks that they need to turn in. They've got to be responsible every single day for the upkeep of the restaurant and the overall hygiene of it. And monthly, they need to either be audited by the state or turn in a report to the state that says we are complying with all of the standards, and here's our report. Because audits are being done, but they're not being done nearly soon enough. We need to increase the frequency that the state comes and holds these restaurants accountable. Thirdly, the consequences for breaking these standards need to be increased. The first offense, the restaurant needs to notify its customers of what happened and what's being done to prevent that from happening again. So the general public needs to know that this restaurant that they're going to failed a test. Second offense is the restaurant's going to shut down for a week, and that week serves as a probationary period where the restaurant has time to get its standards back up to code, and also has sort of a penalty because they're not allowed to do business in that time. Third offense, the restaurant's shut down completely. And all of these need to, of course, happen in a certain amount of time, which would be 1 year. So I've talked to you first about the issue of food poisoning and how important it is, and that you could die from it. I've shown you my bill that I have proposed to increase the hygiene standards laws. Now let's take a look at some of the countries that have relaxed hygiene standards laws and how the United States could turn into that. So the first country that I would like to speak to you about is that has poor hygiene standards is Thailand. This is a very common place for United States citizens to go visit. So not only are they hurting their citizens, but they're hurting our citizens that go visit there as well because of their hygiene standards. The first thing that pops up when you type in Thailand and food happens to be food poisoning, which is actually an article called Surviving Food Poisoning from Thailand, which is ridiculous to me. Why would I want to go to a country that getting food poisoning is such a big issue? Wow, that's ridiculous to me. I mean, that hurts not only themselves, but that's hurting their visitors. That's going to hurt them as a country. Second country that I want to talk about that has poor hygiene standards is Mexico, which actually just last week, according to Food Safety News, 1,300 people got food poisoning from cake. And we've had numerous run-ins with Mexico delivering us contaminated food such as romaine lettuce this last year. So, if my bill is passed, we will have stricter hygiene standards laws which would prevent us from becoming like those countries. So I've shown you how important an issue foodborne illnesses are. I've proposed my bill, given you a solution to it. I've given you some countries that we could turn into. So what I would ask you to do is, my bill currently has been introduced to the city council, and I brought with me a petition that would greatly help advancing my bill along the path of turning the country into that much better, being that much of a better country in protecting its citizens and protecting everybody else by improving the hygiene standards laws that we have.